A gumshoe grandma thinks she found the car that ran down her grandson in Pacific Beach.
86 city employees got advance termination letters. We'll tell you what this means and what's next.
1 year after protesters stormed the Capitol, how our local lawmakers are reflecting on that day.
Plus, claims about January 6th protesters being armed, what charges they're facing, and whether they can still vote. We verify.
The San Dieguito Lagoon Restoration Project. We'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at the work being done.
My mind is lost.
And meet the 17-year-old whose new album Punchline is no joke.
News 8 at 6 starts right now.
A grandmother on the hunt for a dark Mercedes-Benz she says knocked her grandson off his e-bike in Pacific Beach, believes she has found that car. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Pamela Taylor called police this morning to report a Mercedes parked on Faneuil Street. As CBS 8's David Goffredson reports, she found damage on the vehicle and says the owner matches the description of the driver involved in the incident.
The scrape runs from here all the way to here.
It took Pamela Taylor 2 weeks and a lot of legwork to find this Mercedes-Benz. Thursday morning, she called police to report the vehicle parked at a urgent care on Faneuil Street in Pacific Beach.
I had to flag down a police officer this morning because I couldn't get through to any police officer, and I flagged down this nice young man on a motorcycle who's been standing with me ever since.
Pam believes it's the same car that hit her 22-year-old grandson off La Playa Street on December 22nd as he was riding home from work on his e-bike. The gumshoe grandma did her own detective work and found surveillance video of the Mercedes chasing after her grandson. It started out as a road rage incident, according to the grandma, when the driver of the Mercedes started yelling at her grandson for going too slow. The Mercedes ran into and knocked over the grandson, injuring him and damaging the e-bike. CBS 8 aired the surveillance video last week, and 2 women contacted Pam on Facebook saying they knew the location of the car.
One of them contacted me about a week ago about the car, and I've been surveilling it ever since, trying to get the person that was driving it.
The second tip came in Wednesday night, saying the owner of the Mercedes matched the description of the driver.
Hallelujah. We have found him. I said I wasn't going to quit till I found him, and thank goodness for 2 women who have their eyes open.
Detectives responded and discovered the vehicle had illegal license plates from a wrecked Audi. They took photos of the damage on the side of the vehicle and interviewed the owner. But at this point, they do not have enough evidence to arrest him, so we are not identifying him.
Hopefully the guy will be a man and own up. That's what I'm hoping for.
The driver of the vehicle who hit Pam's grandson could face felony assault with a deadly weapon charges.
My message to this guy is, I told you not to mess with Grandma, and you did, and we got you. Hopefully, we got you.
Now, we want to stress the owner of that vehicle, even though they towed the vehicle away, the owner of that vehicle was not arrested and has not been charged. Marcella?
David, we saw the scratches and the damage on that Mercedes-Benz. Is it at all consistent with having hit an e-bike?
It could be. They could try to match the scrape marks on the side of the car with the color of the paint on the e-bike. But I'll tell you, even if they determine that that Mercedes-Benz did hit the grandson, they still have to prove who was driving the car at the time of the accident, or I should say the incident. They have to prove who was driving that car, and that is not going to be easy. That's going to take some police work.
Well, we know that Grandma will not rest until she sees some justice, so we'll continue to follow the case. Thanks, David, for that update. Striking sanitation workers voted no on a new contract offered by Republic Services, which means the ongoing strike continues. 250 members of Teamsters Local 542 have been on strike from their jobs for 3 weeks now. They're demanding better pay, safer working conditions, and new trucks. And they say the new contract does not go far enough. In a statement, Republic Services says it is disappointed that the union rejected its latest offer.
County Health is reporting just over 5,700 new cases tonight. That's 2,500 less than yesterday's 8,200. Meantime, 86 City of San Diego employees could be fired if they do not comply with the city's vaccine mandate soon.
The City of San Diego's original deadline was December 1st. But as News 8's Kirsten Holmes found out, because there are city employees with unions and civil service protections, they do still have a chance to keep their jobs if they want them.
The 86 employees who got the letters include police officers, firefighters, and people who work in public utilities. I spoke with Mayor Todd Gloria this morning, who says there are several avenues, vaccination being the main one, for these people to keep their jobs, but only if they comply.
I don't want to lose any member of our employees. I don't want to see that happen. 1,200
City of San Diego employees are not fully vaccinated as of January 5th. The city used to be run with a lot less than the 11,000 employees we have today. Try 9,000. He says it's his hope that those 1,200, starting with the 86 that were the first round of employees to get advanced termination letters, will go ahead and join their colleagues who have already been vaccinated. But before we even worry about losing those employees, Mayor Gloria says he's concerned with the more than 300 city employees who are out sick with COVID right now.
It's concerning. It is a problem, and that's precisely why we have this mandate. While we may have hundreds of employees who are testing positive, because the vast majority, again, more than 88% are vaccinated, I believe that they will be healthy shortly, and they'll be able to return to work shortly.
As of January 5th, the biggest chunks of the 1,200 unvaccinated workers come from the Police Officers Association. We reached out to the SDPOA, and their president didn't want to go on camera, but confirmed more than a dozen San Diego police officers received advanced termination letters.
We don't want them to spread it to their coworkers or to the public that they're serving. Law enforcement and many of the classifications here at City are not able to be done by Zoom. These folks have to do their jobs in person. You can request a religious or medical exemption. You can request a reasonable accommodation. You can choose to retire, or you can take leave without pay.
And Mayor Gloria says he's happy to set the record straight about the City of San Diego's goal to retain employees and keep them safe.
The folks that spread misinformation about the virus itself, the vaccines themselves, are also spreading misinformation about this policy. I see regular social media posts saying that we've already terminated hundreds of employees. As you've already heard me say, that's simply not true.
As the letters were received, according to San Diego's fire department, the 5 employees listed have opted to get vaccinated instead of getting fired. The city says they will keep these employees as the clock continues to tick for the others who remain unvaccinated and face termination in about a month. Kirsten Holmes, News 8.
Right now, the City of San Diego says they have 165 firefighters in isolation and are experiencing a brownout. The police department has 151 people in isolation, with 94 still waiting on test results to come back.
The first court appearance for a man accused of pushing a 68-year-old man into a trolley and killing him was postponed today. The preliminary hearing was moved to tomorrow. Tonight, the victim's co-workers are remembering their friend. 68-year-old Martin Andara of Santee worked at Ralph's in the Midway District. He's described as a true gentleman who looked after customers and co-workers and always said hi to everyone. A man walking in lanes on the 5 was hit by several vehicles and killed this morning. It happened just before 6 on the northbound lanes near La Jolla Parkway. 2 lanes were shut down during the morning commute. We still don't know the name of the man who was killed.
Today, the nation paused to mark 1 year since the assault on the U.S. Capitol. 5 people died as a result of the attack.
More than 700 people have since been charged with crimes stemming from that day, and law enforcement is still looking for hundreds more. Natalie Brand is in Washington with a look at today's commemorations.
These images from 1 year ago, when rioters attacked the U.S. Capitol, will be forever etched in the minds of the lawmakers and everyone else here on January 6th.
Those of us trapped in the gallery, we lived it. Ducking, crawling under, over railings, hands, knees, the sounds, the smells.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney joined his daughter, Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, on the House floor for a moment of silence. In fiery remarks, President Biden put the blame squarely on his predecessor.
For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob breached the Capitol. But they failed. They failed.
Former President Trump canceled a planned news conference but released a statement calling today's events, quote, political theater and repeating false claims about the 2020 election.
We were both really looking forward to President Trump's press conference tonight. Unfortunately, I think he got some bad advice in canceling it.
This very chamber where we're gathered today was breached. It was desecrated, as was the rest of the Capitol.
Senate Democrats took to the floor to mark the anniversary and demand passage of voting rights legislation. Later, lawmakers joined demonstrators for a rally and held a candlelight vigil. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Several of our local lawmakers are reflecting today on last year's events.
News 8's Shannon Handy has that part of our story tonight from the Embarcadero.
Everyone we heard from today say it was a day they will never forget. It is a year later, of course, but those events are still vivid in the minds of those who were there. Now, we heard from Democratic Representatives Sarah Jacobs and Juan Vargas. Jacobs was in the House gallery. Vargas was holed up in his office. Here's just some of what they remember from that day. Take a listen.
They told us to take our gas masks out and hide under the chairs. We could hear the rioters, the mob, banging on the doors behind us. I'll never forget the sound of the buzzing of the gas masks, of the doors being closed and locked. It was my fourth day, so I was under the chair introducing myself to my new colleagues, many of whom I had never met before, as we were going through this traumatic experience.
And when they decided to burst through into the Capitol, I thought, this is combat. We could easily be killed. Let's defend ourselves. And so I told my staff, I said, listen, you guys have 2 seconds to get out of here either or to stay. If you stay, I'm fighting. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to vote tonight at some point. And they said, no, we want to stay. I said, okay, well, get the axes off the wall. We were given 2 axes by the San Diego firefighters here when I left. I said, get them off the wall. Take them off their mounts. We're going to have to defend ourselves. These people have guns. They have rifles. They have, bats. They have weapons. We don't have anything. So anything you can find.
Both were holed up for hours and say it could have been so much worse. Fast forward a year later, they tell News 8 security has been heightened at the Capitol with more officers and barricades than ever before. As for other changes, they both acknowledge that day divided the country even more, which is why they say protecting upcoming elections and our democracy is crucial.
I believe that January 6th was the beginning, not the end of something. And I am concerned about the continued concerted effort to overturn the will of the people.
We have to make sure that our democracy works. If democracy doesn't work, nothing works. In other words, if we're fighting about who really won, oh, you didn't really win or I didn't really win, we can't get anything done because there's no legitimacy to who we are in office and our positions.
And also today we heard from Republican Congressman Darrell Issa. He said in part that was a difficult day to be in the Capitol, but the weeks and months that followed have been devastating for the nation. Today is an ideal occasion to reflect on that fact. He went on to talk about joblessness and the Biden administration losing control of our southern borders, as well as what he calls a deadly and humiliating exit from Afghanistan. So clearly a lot of division as it relates to not only the Capitol riot, but other issues as well. Some have concerns about the 2024 election, given what happened last year. Back to you.